Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to round 20 of our F1 24 Haas Driver Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Mexico City Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live a few days ago from COTA, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. Just 5 races to go of this season and it is still anybody's game at the top of the World Championship. It looked like we could have made it 4 wins in a row last weekend until the gearbox blew up with less than 2 laps remaining. So we ended up finishing in last place. Oscar Piastri came through for P2, so it means he now has a 6-point lead at the top of the championship once again. George Russell a little bit further out in P3 right now, 31 back from our World Championship leader, but if he and McLaren can string together a couple of victories, he is going to be right back in that fight as well. 3 normal races, 2 sprint weekends still left to fight for, so there are plenty of points available between now and the end of the campaign there. Of course, if you're new, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed to the channel. We're trying to hit 140,000 subs at the moment. And also, if you want to help support us just a little bit more, you can click the join button for just £1 a month. You get early access to all the videos, as well as a few other little perks and extra bits and pieces as well. But let's get out there. Let's try and get back to winning form.
This is a special place to go motor racing. We have the Fora Sol. The track is warming up nicely, and it is nearly time to set the grid for tomorrow's Grand Prix. What an atmosphere we have in Mexico City.
Well, here we are then, back in Mexico once again, and I do genuinely think once the 2025 season is done with, unless Perez comes back with Cadillac, which I'm not convinced is going to happen, I think this is going to be the last we see of this venue inside Formula 1, and it's a real shame because coders have never quite made it very accurate either. I know obviously we've had, confirmed that we're getting some circuits that are LiDAR scanned, but I don't believe this place is one of them. So, yeah, a little bit of a shame that it feels like in the 10 years we've had Mexico inside the games, not once has it felt particularly accurate here, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, sadly. Whatever the circuit is like, though, we need to try and get another pole position on the board this afternoon there, and I really do feel like we found something extra in this Haas car recently. Not even having to downshift through the first part of the S's there, but I mean through here, with how upgraded these cars are, you're pretty much flat all the way through, which is just absolutely mind-boggling as well there, as Pierre Gasly once again looking very, very strong to make our way in towards the final few corners. Pierre Gasly actually finding a little bit of time over me, so we wind our way through the stadium section. The AI are always really good. Again, the power down there is a little bit of a wobble at the final corner. That might cost us. P5 on the grid. Not bad, but not quite where we should have been. Well, there we go. Pierre will line up on pole position. Oscar Piastri will join him on the front row, ahead of Charles Leclerc and Théo Pourchaire there. We will line up P5. George Russell, though, all the way down in 10th place. Only 3.5 tenths off pole position. So rather unlucky to end up as far down the order as he has done. But that's going to give him a lot of work as we head into the Grand Prix. The entire field covered by barely a second. I just love how competitive this series has become. But yeah, we've got our work cut out as we head into the race.
Welcome to the most populous city in North America. The legendary Jim Clark won the first official F1 race here in 1963. It's Mexico City, and it's Grand Prix Sunday. 2,285 meters above sea level, the altitude will test the driver's fitness and their engine's efficiency. 17 corners, 7 to the left, 10 to the right, and make up a 2.6-mile circuit equipped with 2 DRS zones. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Pierre Gasly lines up on pole position, and Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Théo Pourchaire, Firestarter, Norris, Sargent, Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, Russell, Perez, Behrman, Iwata, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Fittipaldi, Ocon, Stroll, Joe, and Frederick Vesti. That's it then. It's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race.
Okay, mate, only 3 races left.
2 + 2 is 4, -1, that's 3, quick maths.
And you've still got a chance at the title, but if we're going to win it, we're going to need some very special performances in every one of those 3. And it starts here. Let's see what you can do today.
I'm slightly concerned. I've got my Formula 1 engineer, who is meant to be very good at numbers and things like that, who apparently can't count to 5. Slightly alarming as we arrive on the grid, but 36 laps ahead of us. That's far too many numbers for Mark to count all the way to. Tyre wear here can be a little bit odd. Sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's really bad. So we'll wait and see as to what happens. But yeah, obviously around this venue, it's all about the slipstream as well on that long old run in towards someone there. As we wait on the grid, 5 red lights here in Mexico City. It's going to be lights out, and away we go there. Not if you take a Porsche, though, getting off to a pretty bad start. Oscar Piastri would immediately try and take the lead away from Pierre Gasly here, which he will do in towards turn 1. We're going to try and have a look to the outside of Charles Leclerc, who suddenly turns on the afterburners in towards that first corner around the outside of Gasly for him as well. So a pretty disappointing start for our teammate there, and Oscar Piastri maybe trying to do what he did back in Austria. Is immediately going to try and bolt it off the start then. We are going to get a little bit boxed in between Charles and Pierre there. Whoa! Charles Leclerc, I could just see at the last moment he was going to try and slam the door shut on me. So we won't quite make up as much progress as I'd wanted to, but Oscar Piastri immediately bolting up into quite a sizable lead at the front of the order, and it always seems to be, if one of the AI is going to build up that kind of buffer by themselves, it's always going to be Oscar in that Ferrari car as we wind our way through the S's then. Yeah, a little bit disappointed. Gasly once again. I know pole position isn't always the best place to start here in Mexico, but yeah, definitely was hoping he would at least kind of hang on to Oscar's coattails around this first lap there. It'll be, I think, every single driver inside your top 5 has moved places there. Lando Norris has done a good job, and Logan Sargent didn't actually notice how well he'd done in qualifying. Running up in P7. He's up to P6 on lap 1. So here we go. Gasly trying to use the slipstream against Charles Leclerc again back in towards that first corner. Could we potentially make it 3 wide? No, we won't. We'll wait and see who comes out on top in this scenario. And again, Leclerc just getting ahead of him. I know Pierre now has been told to focus on the constructors, but this is not ideal early on. There we go then, first time round now with the DRS, and surely Charles Leclerc is going to be a bit of a sitting duck. Of course, the weird thing as well here in Mexico is that he's 1 detection point in 2 DRS zones. So Gasly will go past him, and then he should also be able to carry the speed up in towards turn 4 as well there as well. Just running into the back of Charles ever so slightly. Got to be careful to get the power down. And you can see, actually, Charlie's used way too much battery early on in this race, so both Haas cars will fly around him. Oscar Piastri, though, already 3 seconds up the road. It doesn't sound like a lot, but that can be, an almost insurmountable gap in a race like this. Pierre and I have got to work together. There we go, both now of your Haas cars into the 1:14s. That seems ridiculous to say around this circuit. What is Pierre doing, man? Come on, I thought we already had our beef back in Singapore a few races ago, but apparently not. Yeah, Gasly, they're trying to defend from me in towards someone. We'll make it through. You can see using that DRS, we take almost a second out of Oscar. So that will have to be how we get to him. Oh, we've got yellows, Someone's got issues. Don't tell me that's Oscar Piastri. I don't think it is. Yeah, it's definitely a car behind. I just got excited for a split second there. No idea who it is, though. I think that's a Merc, perhaps? So I think that might be Lewis Hamilton then out of the Grand Prix. Disappointment there for one of my former teammates inside this series. But my current teammate, I think now, is going to try and line up a move there. There goes Pierre Gasly back towards turn 1. So he will now try and close in the gap on Oscar just a little bit more. It's just floating at about 2 seconds. And it's so difficult to really do anything else. Come on, Pierre. Drive faster. Give me some slipstream for a couple of laps so I can recharge my battery. Ugh, no. What was that? The back end just completely came round on us there. That was... It's still trying it. What on earth is up with this car? That was really weird, and that's going to cost us a huge amount of time and positions. Somehow we're still going to get the DRS there, but just I think we bobbled the rear end over the curbing, and it just completely spat us around. We're actually struggling with front tyre temp I just noticed, so I don't know whether it's caused by that or by something else or what's going on, but well, 3 of the 4 tyres actually overheating, so we're going to have to try and really manage that over the next few laps. We might require an early box over to the hards. Well, these tyres are completely cooked, and I mean, it's just that final corner where we're really struggling with it. But I mean, yeah, we cannot kind of bring the tyre temperature back down, so I think we're going to opt to box now, go on to a set of hards. If they work, fantastic. If we can keep them in the right window, then obviously we'll try and still extend to the end of the afternoon. But we might be forced onto a 2-stop strategy here, depending on how they play up. I made sure as well to up the pressures for this one, obviously to try and reduce the amount of heat that is kept in the tyre, but I think I'm running like some of the highest PSI I ever have inside this game, and it is still not working. It feels like in this title that as you put more upgrades on the car, managing tyre temperature becomes easier, and then suddenly becomes a lot harder again later on in the game, so very, very awkward. To try and really work out what you're doing. You know, I am having to try and change the setups every single season to suit the car's characteristics. But yeah, this weekend, clearly we have got it very, very wrong. And it's something, again, that I hope that they sort out for F1 25 is kind of the way the AI do it. You know, it's not simulated for them. They don't go through the same struggles we do. Also helped by the fact they've got traction control, but that's a topic for another day. Into the pit lane we will go, though. Oh, just about get it slowed down on the way in. That was a little bit more risky than I wanted it to be. But yeah, we're going to re-emerge then out of the back of the grid. Sergio Perez, he'll be disappointed not running in the points at home, even when his teammate Logan Sargent is. So hopefully a nice tidy stop. Not fantastic, but not bad.
Nice stop time. We're happy with that one.
Yeah, we'll get running then once more in this race, and well, now it's just a question of will these hard compound tyres, yes, thank you Mark, will these hard tyres overheat? There we go, starting to see some cars into the pit lane then, so Oscar Piastri I think has dived in, and there he is a little way up the road, so yeah, we have done a really good undercut actually, we've taken about 6 seconds out of him over these last few laps. I think that's probably as close as we'll get to him, unless we get a safety car or something like that. Later on in the race, but yeah, this gives me hope. Well, we're going to get some nice DRS off of Fred Vesti, but unfortunately that comes at the cost of having to follow him down through this stadium section at the end of the lap. I assume the Sauber will be into the pit lane at the end of this one there, as he didn't expect him to slow down as early as he did. But I guess we'll have the DRS then back in towards turn 1. Where are we going to come out relative to Gasly? We've actually got a jump on him, so I think Pierre's been held up in the pit lane there, because he's definitely come out way further behind than I'd expect him to. He's about 5 seconds behind, so yeah, Oscar Piastri did not have a 9-second lead when he dived into the pit, so well, this has worked out fantastically for us. Still got to manage the tyres, and the other bit is actually the fuel. We're using a bit more fuel here than I thought we would, so gonna just keep an eye on that. But with half the race still to go, we could legitimately be in a position here where nothing else happens. Well, less than 10 laps to go then, and we have just about been able to get the tyres back in the window we need them. Of course, the other problem you face is as the tyres slowly burn, and obviously, well, not burn, but you know what I mean, take more out of them, obviously there's less rubber there to kind of dissipate the heat as well. So obviously the canvas, that is what's actually getting warm on the tyre, which causes all the problems. So yeah, we really are taking a very risky approach here. If we can get in the range of Oscar, fantastic. We can sit behind him, we can save some fuel for a few laps and really look after the tyre. If we can't get to him, well, we've got a 9-second window to fall back on by the end of the afternoon, but you can easily lose more than a second a lap trying, obviously, to manage everything in a Grand Prix like this, especially if Charles Leclerc gets the sense that obviously we are struggling as well. So, like I said, I just want to get in the range of Oscar as soon as we can, but if we don't, by about lap 30, we'll have to make the call and just focus on bringing this home for P2. Oh, there we go, end of lap 29, finally. I wasn't expecting it to happen, but we have got inside the DRS range of Oscar Piastri there, immediately met with the turbulent air as well, as we try and carve our way through the stadium section. But like I said, by lap 30 I was going to have to make the call, and it looks like the call has been made for us here. We are finally back into the range. I was not expecting this But as you can see, we've basically got no spare fuel at this stage of the GP, so we're just going to try and get as close to him as we can, and then do big lifts into the corner. We'll hopefully see immediately you can just make back a little bit of fuel each time you do it. We'll only need to do it a few times, but that will obviously mean then with a few laps to go we can push. But as you can see, when we get on the throttle the other way, we actually burn more fuel than the game is kind of expecting me to. So you can't just kind of make up a load of it in one go here. We're going to have to really, really manage that, and manage the tyres, and manage the gap to Oscar. For a race that hasn't seen much on-track action, it has certainly been tense in the cockpit. Doing all that lifting and coasting as well has helped the tyres just cool a little bit. So here we go then, lap 33. We have never led this race up to this point. Could we finally now take P1 away from Oscar Piastri, who has led this one basically since turn 1 there? We have a look to the outside, but Oscar will hang firm that time around. We'll get a second chance at it when we head up the next straight there. Was trying to get the power down again. You can see he's got no battery in that Ferrari, so I think he's been trying to defend over the last couple of laps there. Round the outside we will go, and now the hunter becomes the hunted. Will Oscar just try and recharge the pack and try and line up another attack against us? Here comes Piastri back at us then, straight to the inside in towards turn 1. Not even going to bother trying to defend that one from him all too hard. And again, now obviously he'll have the defence up the next straight. But yeah, I think this is the thing, of course, with these two cars, especially when we're fighting each other. Both of them very effective in the slipstream. So it kind of just means that if one goes, or if one's trying to line up a move on the other, there's not really much point defending it. No. No, 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 no. Oh, no. That's bad. That's really bad. And it happened just before the detection point. Again, just trying to get a little bit too early on the throttle here. And has that potentially cost us late on in the day? Oscar Piastri now with a 2-second buffer at the front of the order. So we need to absolutely try and fly now to close back in on him. But I knew these tyres were falling away. I didn't expect them to fall away that badly, that quickly in the dirty air. Well, one more lap to go then at this Grand Prix, and are we back inside the range of Oscar Piastri? I don't think we were at the detection point. So I think Oscar Piastri now might just have a little bit of breathing room here. He's trying to take it nice and easy into this final lap, but this is still not over. These points are critical in the World Championship, and I know we have been strong through so much of this lap. Throughout the entirety of the race there, try and get the gap back under a second, use all of the remaining battery that we've got available to us. But of course these first few corners are definitely the best places to try and make an overtake here. But Oscar Piastri, I can't even remember the last time we won a race. It might have been all the way back at Silverstone before the summer break. He might have won Zandvoort. Can't quite remember, like I said, off the top of my head here. But in towards the S's one final time. We are giving it absolutely everything to try and get close enough to the Ferrari. We'll have the DRS once again. We will use all of the remaining battery to give ourselves a bit of a slingshot here. You can see Oscar, he's got no battery left in towards the stadium. That Ferrari is struggling, but will there be enough to try and go for it? You're top 2 in the championship as the confetti flies. We have given it everything today, but Oscar Piastri will manage it to the end of the afternoon. The Ferrari will win. We will follow in P2.
He has left the field in his dust. Oscar Piastri takes the win.
But another race victory today, and you can clearly see they're starting to believe in themselves more and more. You get to a stage where you become very hard to beat as a driver when you keep putting in performances like this one.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
Well, there we go then. Despite the bot strategy, despite the struggles with the car, we cannot beat Oscar Piastri here, and he will double his World Championship lead with another 6-point swing. Again, he remains cool, he remains calm and collected, he just does what he needs to walk away with victory there. P3 for Charles Leclerc on the podium, just ahead of Gasly. Russell, I think, was allowed to get past Norris on the last lap as well. His championship hopes fading, but they are not over just yet there. And a solid P7 for Logan Sargent. Ahead of Alonso, homeboy Perez does get a point ahead of Teo Pourchaire as well there. And Hamilton and Iwasa both failing to see the checkered flag. What does that do to our championship? Like I said, the gap now 12 points at the top of the table there, as Russell now 46 back with just a handful of races to go. Like I said, you need to string together some victories if he wants to keep himself in the fight. Leclerc now back 1 point ahead of Pierre Gasly, so it's 4 drivers from 4 different teams making up your top 4. Norris still ahead of Alonso, Enzo Fittipaldi still ahead of Hamilton, and Pourchaire now comfortably ahead still of both of those Red Bull cars as well. Constructors-wise, we continue to open up that gap at the top, 64 points now. It really does feel like as a team, the momentum is behind Haas late on in the year. Still just 2 in it between McLaren and Ferrari. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 heads south, ready for the Brazilian Grand Prix.